Hi, everybody. Hi, real progressives. This has been a long election. It's been a very long election. A lot of people are aggravated with the election. A lot of us are. A lot of things has happened in this election, and there's been a lot of name calling. A lot of people that has really, let's face it, attacked our character for standing up for the things that we believe in. A lot of people have attacked our character for standing up for the very things that we hold true to us in our hearts. And it's just something about them that can't fathom why we fight for our values, why we stand for our values. And I just want to take a minute to tell you guys today that no matter what, no matter how tough it gets, always stay encouraged. Stay encouraged and stay true to yourselves. Stay true to the ones you believe in, and stay true to those very ideas that you believe in your heart. Because those ideas that's in your heart will become a reality. They will change the world. If you continuously push forward, if we continuously push forth, not me, us, if we continue to move forward, that's going to be the reward at the end. Change sometimes is hard. It's very hard. Brown versus Wade was in 1954. We didn't get the Voting Rights Act until 1965. Hey, Susan, it's all about keeping your eye on that North Star and trying to block out all the noise that we've seen, all the noise that we have seen that tried to silence us. Hey, Chanel, all the noise that we've seen that has tried to silence us, they have met us with opposition each step of the way. But we didn't shrink to that opposition. We took it head on. We didn't shrink to the challenges that was in front of us. We overcame them. We didn't flinch to the status quo. We showed that we were willing to challenge it. We're showing that we're willing to challenge it. Hey, Patricia, if you wasn't willing to challenge it, you wouldn't be here. If we wasn't willing to challenge it, it would be a lot easier, let's face it, to just go home, turn on the TV, and, watch sports, and just leave it at that. And say, I'm good, and I'm just going to leave it the way it is. But we didn't choose to do that. We chose not to do that. And when I think about those that came before us, we have an obligation to continue to push forward. Because let's face it, they faced the times where there were laws against them speaking out. There were laws against them even having the ability to learn how to read. So if they can stay encouraged and fight and continue to push forward, we have to too. If we're proud of them, then we have to do the job that they want us to do. They had the ultimates. They paid the ultimate sacrifice. They had the ultimate courage. My granddad was born in 1923, who just passed away about a month ago. He was 93 years old. He fought in World War II. And you think about the dates and the time. Fought in World War II. Fighting for a country that doesn't give you the right to vote. Fighting for a country that doesn't even give you any kind of equal rights. And then when you come home from the war, that's still 20 years later before you even have the right to vote. It's still 2 decades later before you even consider it's 20 years later before the Civil Rights Bill is even being discussed. Can you imagine that? Imagine risking your life for a country and coming back home, and it's still 2 decades out before they even start talking about a Civil Rights Bill. But they stayed encouraged, raise a family, stay a person, a man of God, and still always had morals and quality. Not just him, everyone that came before us. Everyone that came before us. So if they can stay encouraged, we have to too. This is our duty, this is our job. Economic justice is our next fight. Economic justice is king. Economic justice is the way we fund the revolution. We can't fund the revolution without an economic revolution. We can't fund the revolution without getting our politicians and getting our fellow citizens to realize that taxes don't fund government spending. If we're not going to take the time out to learn it, it's learn it and become a student of it. We might as well go home. We may as well stop. We're not going to ever win. We're never going to win this fight if we don't stay true to what we believe in our hearts. If we're going to vote for the lesser of the two evils every single election cycle and ignore the greater good, What are we fighting for? We may as well go home. I turned the TV on this morning on my way to work, and I was disappointed. I was very disappointed in what I've seen the Democratic Party turn into. A party that I've been a part of all my life. I've been a Democrat since birth. I grew up hanging around my grandparents a lot, so I've been interested in politics since I was probably 10 or 11 years old. I used to be around at a time when they used to always talk about politics. My grandmom, you got to think, was a big JFK fan. Big John F. Kennedy fan. Had a big picture of him on the wall. Used to always ask about him, ask him about what type of person he was, what type of president he was. My grandma was so fascinated with JFK that my dad's named after him. Same middle name, similar the name Kennedy's middle name is same Fitzgerald, just like JFK. So I guess that's kind of why I became even interested in this process to begin with. But I always knew that I was never the type person that accepted the status quo. I was never down with accepting things the way they are. Because if those before us accepted things the way they are, a lot of progress in this country wouldn't exist. Women wouldn't have the right to vote. African Americans and other minorities wouldn't have the right to vote. They wouldn't even have a seat at the table. They wouldn't even be considered as human beings. They were once considered 3/4 of a human being. That's how far we've came. We've came very far. So when we stick together, we prove that we are people capable of doing big things. But what disappointed me this morning in the Democratic Party is they seem to gotten to the point to where they accept corruption. They accept their standards has gotten low. What they willing to accept has gotten very low. It's very low. I've noticed that corruption is only a problem when someone else does it. Donald Trump does something, and let me be on the record. Let me be very, very clear here. I don't support Donald Trump. I oppose Donald Trump every step of the way. But when Donald Trump does something, it's called corruption. When Hillary Rodham Clinton does something, to them it's called, well, everyone does it. Just recently, someone said, Kendall, the devil himself better be in Hillary Clinton's emails. And my response was, well, if the devil himself is in her emails, would you care? Because I don't think you will. I think your response would be, well, the devil's in everyone's emails. That's how low we've got. And then they take offense to someone saying this election is rigged. So I have to ask the question. Did George W. Bush steal the 2000 election? Or did he not steal the 2000 election? Because a lot of Dems back then were saying that they were robbed of Florida. And I personally think that they were robbed of Florida. But they can't have it both ways. Either Bush won fair and square in 2000, or elections can be rigged. Because it's gotten to the point where when you say elections are being rigged, they act like you just said something that's asinine. They act like you just said, they act like you just committed a sin. If you say election has been rigged, as if the process is perfect. You and I both seen how they screwed Bernie Sanders in the primary. You and I both seen that. And their response is, well, stop whining, blah, blah, blah. They really have no response for that. And again, I oppose Donald Trump. But when Donald Trump has some negative news come out against him, they're perfectly fine with it. And to be quite honest with you, the news that comes out against Donald Trump, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. Because the American people need to know the negatives about the people that's running for office. Now, where me and the Dems break at, when negative news come out on Hillary Rodham Clinton, their response is, oh, you're trying to influence an election. So, is it okay for negative news to come out on one person, but not on the person that you're going along with? And when you make the comments trying to influence an election, when you make that comment, what are you actually saying? Think about exactly what you're saying. This is how it sounds to me. And you guys can help me interpret this if you think I'm wrong. But when they say they're trying to influence an election, this is what I hear in my ears. Don't tell the truth about Hillary Rodham Clinton. because you're gonna make people not want to vote for her. That's what I hear. That's what I hear. You guys think I'm wrong? I mean, give me some feedback. When they say that uh, the FBI trying to influence an election by bringing up the email scandal, what I hear is them saying basically, don't tell the American people bad things about Hillary Rodham Clinton, because then they may not want to vote for her and they can influence an election. But they okay with stuff coming out against Trump. And I'm okay with stuff coming out against Trump. But I'm also okay with stuff coming out against Hillary too. That's where we break at. That's where we break at. That's where we part ways. If you guys are tired of being called, this election is almost over. It's winding down. We're in the final few days. We're at the final stretch. And I have to be honest with you guys. Today I'm a little bit more, I have that fire in me today. I'm excited, to be honest with you, going forward. I'm excited regardless of the outcome. I'm excited because the wealth of knowledge that I've gained throughout this process. I'm excited. So this morning I ordered my Jill Stein button that says, it says very plain and simple, and I will have it on election day, but it says vote third party, vote out corruption, Jill Stein 2016. In your face. Boom. Can't wait to put it on. I can't wait to be that. You know, the Hillary parents call us naive little kids, and I have to say, I wear that charge with a badge of honor. I love it. I love it. I love being in a situation where I can think for myself. I love being in a situation where I don't have to wait and watch CNN and MSNBC and see what they tell me what to do. I don't have to do that. You and I, real progressives, we are independent thinkers. And that's where we break with them at. That's what's so that they can't just fathom is, why would you vote for someone who, you know what I'm saying? Why would you vote for a third party? That's how they think. That's how they think. They don't understand of voting for your values. They don't get it. They don't try to get it. But as I see the spin cycle come in through this morning, I was out watching a little MSM, which I've gotten to the point where I've gotten so disgusted I've kind of turned it off. But you know what? We don't need to get this. We don't need to turn off MSM. I don't think we should. I think we should continuously watch mainstream media because we need to always know the BS that they're trying to feed us to counter it. So if anything else, we got to stay on top of it. No matter, it's hard to sit through. It's hard to sit through. I know. It's very hard to sit through. But to be honest with you, I found myself in a situation where I'm watching Bill Maher's show, who I've always been a fan of. And this is crazy, but I'm finding myself agreeing with what the Republicans say on the show. It's like, it feels gross. But, you know, if they're making a point against Hillary Rodham Clinton, then they're making a point against Hillary Rodham Clinton. Every charge against Hillary Rodham Clinton can't always be reduced down to right-wing talking points. That's where we've gotten. Everything about her is right-wing talking points. And what makes a Hillary Rodham Clinton presidency dangerous is because people don't care about her being corrupt. They don't give a damn. If you think Bill Clinton / welfare reforms and put millions of African Americans and minorities in prison, just to show how tough he can be on crime, to gain that conservative Republican vote, what do you think Hillary Rodham Clinton's going to do to gain the Republican conservative vote? Keep that in mind. She's going to go out to the vote. She's going to go out to the vote, and she's going to have help. Guess who's going to help her? You're probably thinking, oh, Republicans. I mean, of course, Republicans will be there. But the people who's going to help her is the Hillary parents. They just marched. They just, what I like to call the head-shaking crowd. They just stand in the crowd and nod their head up and down. Regardless of what she says, nod their heads up and down. No matter what she says. She want to take us to war, they're going to be in the crowd. Well, you know, we got to do it. You know, she want to do Social Security reform, want to cut Social Security. With the nonsense that they tell us, you know, like they tell us it's going broke. So they like to say they got to cut it. They'll be out there shaking their heads up and down. Let me tell you one scary part that I'm going to wrap this up. One scary part that I don't think people are paying attention to. Hillary Rodham Clinton said that she would appoint her husband, President Clinton, in some form of capacity in her cabinet dealing with economics. And you always hear Steve talk about economics, because economics is king. since the light bulb went off my head, I can't stop researching and studying economics. It's awesome. I'm lame like that. I think it's exciting. But think about this. What they haven't thought about so far is she said that she's going to appoint Bill Clinton, former President Bill Clinton, in some kind of capacity in her cabinet dealing with economics. That's bad news. That means we're going to have another government, possibly government, we run into even more surplus. The last time Bill Clinton was in office, he balanced the budget. Now, we were all fed that nonsense that was positive, that was a great idea. But as we dig deeper and we learn and we become awake, we realize that he balanced the budget okay. He balanced the budget on the backs of poor people. He pulled money out the economy, slashed welfare, pulled money out the economy, shrunk the economy down, and left us with a recession. He left the private sector in charge to running deficits. And you cannot run, the private sector cannot run deficits. And it lasts. And that's when we went into another recession. Bush inherited the first recession in 2001. That is a fact. Tax cuts in the war in Iraq did not cause the recession. The thing caused the recession was Bill Clinton pulled money out of the economy. He pulled money out of the economy to balance the budget of a country that's monetary sovereign. A country that's the issue of its own currency and not the use of its currency. The dollars don't come from anywhere. Keystrokes on a computer. Keystrokes on a computer. Economics is king. And Steve had a very awesome announcement about going to Capitol Hill and meeting and talking to Stephanie Kelton. And Stephanie Kelton is a research Stephanie Kelton if you haven't. But Stephanie Kelton and a lot of other economic advisors to try to force these politicians in Washington to see the truth. To see that we're not a country that has a mounting debt problem. The deficit is nothing but keystrokes on a computer. Numbers. Until we realize that, none of the programs that we want to happen are going to happen. We're going to stay stuck in neutral. And maybe not even in neutral, because every time that our deficits were too small like they are now, we end up with a recession without exception. That's a fact. It's not that's not an opinion. That is a fact. So if Hillary Clinton appoints Bill Clinton to some economic program, or economic part of her cabinet, we already headed for a recession, but oh my, if she's elected, it could be even faster because they don't understand modern monetary theory, and they're not trying to. They think the government is run like a household when it's not. I hate when I hear these conservatives, hey, you got to run it like a business. You can't run the government like a business. You have to deficit spend. Right now, you need to be deficit spending in a situation where we in right now. I don't understand it. I don't get it. The chairman of the Federal Reserve has said many times, how did you get the money to bail out the banks? Well, the banks have accounts with the Federal Reserve. We just changed the numbers in their accounts. That's how they get the money. A keystroke, folks. A keystroke. But I mainly want to come in today to tell you guys to stay encouraged. Keep your head up, because it gets tough out here. I get frustrated all the time. But we have to continue to do what the cynic said that couldn't be done. Because we have to. We have to because we think our fight is hard. We think our fight is frustrating. Those that came before us were in a situation where laws was against them to even speak. Laws was against them to even speak. Let your voice be heard, because your voice can make a difference. Your dreams can become a reality. Your dreams can change the world. I'm Kendall Sen Sullivan, and I'm going to leave it there. Have a great day, guys. Peace, and I'm out.